And we are back live on Goaldigger here on LinkedIn. I'm Cate Luzio and the founder and CEO of Luminary. And as the second episode this Friday, we actually have another incredible woman founder and CEO, Melissa Blatt of Indie Pop. And I can't even do it justice to talk about what this incredible company and vision and who Melissa is. I will tell you, the way we got connected is she is a Luminary member based in Arizona. So Melissa, welcome. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are.
Exactly. We just had on the last with Nicola, we had someone from Singapore. So you never know where people are coming from, but let's get right into it. You founded this company, this incredible company that we're going to hear all about, Indie Pop. But before we get to Indie Pop and what Indie Pop is and what the mission, can you give a little bit of background on where you came from that led you on this entrepreneurial journey, which is, for the most part, kind of full of ups and downs, no stability, all of that great stuff. But where'd you come from to lead you to where you are today?
Well, we'd need another show to go way back because I'm kind of old. So
no, you're not. You keep saying that.
Well, okay. When you have a career over 20 years, you're like, what do I even put? Do I have a resume? Like, how many pages is it at this point? But I've done a lot of different things. And in the last, I'd say 10 years, I transitioned out of the nonprofit world and I threw myself into technology and I basically just dove in. And I was older in life. So again, if you're thinking about making a change, don't wait another year, just do it. And there's no reason if you're really, on the fence. And I did. So in that time, I always had health insurance because I was a W-2 employee. So it was great. And then I wanted to go out on my own and I wanted to work for diverse companies, lots of different companies doing business development and marketing. And that's when I was presented with the Cobra plan and I had sticker shock and I'm like, I can't afford this. I don't even know how much money I'm going to make. I'm going out on my own. And then I just found myself in this loophole of what do you do when you're self-employed? It's 3 times the rates or I'm going to go without healthcare. And that's when I started to really take it seriously and go, am I alone? Am I the only one experiencing this? And then I realized there's 57 million pre-COVID. That's pre-COVID, by the way, because we all know, now we know more people are starting their own gig or their solopreneur. Right. So that kind of fueled the fire where I'm like, well, I'm not alone. And then I went through the research and comparing plans and then realizing that traditional insurance was just not offering me enough for the money and the high deductible. Yeah. And that's where I was like, okay, I got to find a solution. And I did. And it turned out to be these things called health shares, which nobody really knew about. And still, that's my job. I'm educating. And so that's how I started.
So statistics wise, right? And this is pre-COVID, 57 million people in the US, right? This is
in the US, yes. Yeah.
Were on Cobra or were freelancers, gig economy, solopreneurs, small business owners that were paying ridiculous amounts of money on Cobra.
Or they're going without.
Or without insurance.
Or the statistic was 43% of that, like 57 million, were either paying 3 times the rates or just they went without. And now, since I've been doing it this last year, I can actually say how many people, I call them the gamblers, that they're like, I'm young, I'm healthy, I'm just not going to have, And then I said, do you have 17,000 laying around in case you break your bone and you have to have surgery? Because that's how much it's going to cost. So, I did find solutions and I'm really happy about that. And now it's about educating what health share is. And that's where I do the curating and I vet them. They go through the Melissa test essentially.
I love that. The Melissa test. So, and we hear this term all the time. I mean, I think again, pre-COVID gig economy, it's a different, it's the younger generation in particular, not to say that us older women aren't in that, but because you're not that old and I'm getting close. So, and I don't think I'm old, Melissa. So, this gig.
No, I don't feel old. Do I look old? No, but it's a thing. It's a thing when you talk to someone 26 and they're like, I'll just say it, everyone, I'm out myself. I'm 50. I am half a century and I'm proud of it, but Yeah,
and you started a company.
Yeah, I did.
50, which is just, also remarkable, but it's now not uncommon, because what COVID also has shown us is 5.5 million women out of the workforce, a lot of them that are out because they were let go, they were displaced, they were furloughed, but more than 2 million of those are saying, I'm not going back to the same thing I was doing. And a lot of those women, like we saw in 2008, after the financial crisis, will become entrepreneurs, necessity entrepreneurs, freelancers, consultants. And one of the biggest gaps in any of those careers, or if you want to call it, or businesses, is that the lack of health insurance and the lack of options. I remember, and I think I told you this story, when I was starting Luminary, and I would talk to people before we were hiring, and they would say, well, I'll still stay on as a contractor or freelancer. And I literally would have like, oh my God, what do you do for insurance? Because I always worked in a corporation that gave me great health insurance, right? I was a banker for all those years. That I couldn't exist knowing that if something were to happen. But you have, like you said, 43% pre-COVID that were like, I'm going to kind of roll the dice. So this is a big market. It's very underserved. Why and what is Indie Pop doing differently to serve this market? And by the way, it's not just freelancers and gig. It's also solopreneurs and small business owners, right?
Which add on another 12 million pre-COVID.
Right. Wow.
That was just like the freelancing gig to gig was the 57 million. There's about 12 million solopreneurs. Now I have to research the new stat in this last year, because so many people, one of the first 2 members of Indie Pop saw I was promoting my webinar, Have You Been Laid Off? This was last year. Remember when I launched a year ago in March, right when COVID happened. 2 young ladies came to my webinar and both signed up because they were laid off and they couldn't afford their Cobra. And Indie Pop provided a solution for them for, I think it was $250 a month for healthcare to protect them for those what if scenarios. So what Indie Pop does is we don't really focus on traditional healthcare with the big insurance companies,
right,
where a health share is you become a member of a community that shares the cost in a medical need, and you become a member. So that's not technically a premium. There's completely different health terms, or I don't want to say insurance terms, because health shares aren't insurance, and
right,
it functions differently. But what Indie Pop does is it's providing a different alternative to what's out there in the market. I'm not saying it's better. I'm saying it's out there. And that's what we're trying to show, is that you don't have to go without healthcare. Or you can, especially for a family, we're saving at least 50% on a premium. Premiums range from $1,500 to $2,000 for a family. It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So when you think about this idea of almost like a communal share, right? Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about, because you said it earlier, not a lot of people understand what a health share could be, how it's relevant. Are they missing out? Are they losing out by becoming a member of it? Tactically, how does it work for, I'm a freelancer, I'm a small business owner. How do I make sure I'm protected and supported through this health share?
Well, first you have to figure out which health share is going to be right for you. And that's where, again, Indie Pop comes in, because we researched dozens of different health shares and tried to ask the questions of, is there an annual cap? How far back do you look at pre-existing conditions? Which ones offer like high value plans for the money? And my promise is it's going to be simple and affordable, because if I don't understand it, it's not on my site. And again, if I wouldn't use it for my own well-being, it's also not, it goes through, like I said, the Melissa test. So all the plans on my site is something that I would feel comfortable with myself, my friends, my family going on. And I want people, this is a huge, people go bankrupt from medical bills. I want to be able to go to sleep at night knowing that I led someone in a good direction, or saying, I don't think this is right for you. And that's okay. Not everything is a one size fits all, especially healthcare. It's not a one size fits all. And so the 4 plans that I have on the site basically look at different areas that might be really important to you. So I have one plan where the max out of pocket is $3,000 for a family. That's pretty amazing. Wow. Another plan that offers HSA, whether you have one or you want to start one. I get asked that all the time. Can I use my HSA? Well, I have a solution for you. So each one functions a little differently. And what I tried to do is, under the C plans page, you can go ahead and compare, the monthly, what your out of pocket would be, and what value each one has. A lot of health shares offer vision and dental benefits, or a discount, I should say, or mental health. They're offering virtual mental health. So health shares are just, it's not insurance, so it doesn't function like insurance. You become a member, and it's a different approach. What I say is, it's more of a proactive approach. There's a concierge team that helps guide you and walk you through to make sure you're getting the right care at the best price. And if you call up, a bigger insurance company, I don't know if they're going to actually help you when you say, I don't think I can afford this surgery. I don't know what they're going to say. Well, what's your claim code? That's what I was given. Whereas the health share, they're saying, there's different routes we can go. And I'm not just an ID card with numbers on it. I'm an actual human being that needs care.
Right. It's not a robotic service where, here, punch your number in and then we'll get back to you. It's actual real live human service. I mean, I think pre-COVID, we knew the numbers were huge, but now also those 43% that were gambling on their health, right? With what has happened this past year with COVID, with obviously lots of people getting sick, the devastation, it should have taught us all a lesson, right? Because you do not want to go without health insurance, whether you're an individual or you have a family. It's so important. I don't care if you're 20 or you're 50 or you're 85. This is fundamentally what we need, and you really are providing an alternative. So are there, I'm too big to participate? Is it really only geared towards those small businesses and solopreneurs and freelancers? When does it become not fun? Yeah.
When I launched it, I'm just finding people like me, that are freelancing, and they may have a family. And then all of a sudden I referred to small business owners, and I'm like, oh, wait, I didn't even think that they were struggling just as much as the solopreneur, the freelancer. So that led me to, anytime there's a problem that I think I can solve, I'm going to try to find the solution. So I have been researching different types of, for tax purposes, like they're called HRAs. So I am in the midst of researching this, which bear with me as I explore to make sure, because I don't want to roll something out that it could backfire. And this just came, I've been doing this the last month, and I'm going to most likely enroll myself in one. And that would lead me, as a self-employed person, to have my healthcare reimbursed, or a tax deduction then, which is huge. And then for small businesses, we're looking at that as well, as setting up different ways where they can then say, I'm out of the insurance game, and I'm going to just offer a reimbursement at this amount to you, and you're on your own. Go find whatever you like. Because again, it's not a one size fits all to say, I'm going with this, and you either take it or leave it. So
yeah, and a lot of small businesses, and this, particularly if they're starting up, if they don't have the capital and they have people, they can't afford, health insurance. That's not normal. And it's interesting, Melissa, I don't know if I told you this, when we started Luminary, I was meeting with a company, and they said, well, don't, I said, I'm hiring a bunch of women. I have to give them health insurance. Like, that's the right thing to do. What about maternity leave? What about, your annual exam, all of the things that women go through. And they said, yeah, but it's a big expense. Don't do it. You don't have to offer that. And for me, it was, well, I have to offer that. But it is a big expense for a lot of small businesses to swallow, right? So looking at IndyPop again as an alternative is a really, I think, a unique way for small businesses to also look at managing expenses while also giving their employees that opportunity.
Absolutely, and one of my plans is on the site. You can go to it. It has for over or under 20 employees. So there is a solution for over 20, but the more I work with under 20, you know, the team that's 5 or 8 people, and you really want to keep your top talent. You want to say, I care about you and I appreciate you and I want to make sure that you're healthy and you're not stressed out about healthcare. And the contribution to that member is $125 a month. That's the minimum. And then, you know, they can either pay the rest or you can split it with them, but at least there is an option out there for them.
So there's a question in the chat that came in. So maybe that's kind of what you just referenced. And I don't know if this is the way you get the terminology, but what would the average cost monthly be for an individual?
So the plan I'm on is $319 a month, and I'm not married and I don't have children. I do have another plan that starts at $225, and that just doesn't have your preventative wellness. But it is actually a really robust plan. And for both of those, it goes by, I'll give you some terminology here. So it goes by a medical need. So what is a medical need? Appendicitis, a broken limb, something usually where the procedure is going to cost more than $1,000. That's a medical need. And for me, and I hope this never happens because I broke my ankle in August, but if I did break another limb, the most I would pay for that medical need is $1,000. So I know up front what is, if I had to have a surgery, what my cost is going to be for that need.
So you know up front before you even sign on the dotted line what those costs will be versus I get into an accident, I have appendicitis, I break something, whatever that is, and then you're kind of really nervous around what's this actually going to end up costing you, like any other normal insurance plan.
Right, and I find that too, that you just have to read the guidelines and see what's in your plan. I think, you know, we're so used to insurance being, oh, I need insurance, it's going to help me when something bad happens. And then when I started looking, I got really sad because it wasn't covering my primary care visits, or you know, if I had a tier 2 drug, it's going to cost, you know, X amount of dollars. And I'm like, well, I'm still paying so much out of pocket. I can't afford to get sick. I mean, it stressed me out more. And the premium was, doable, but it was the deductible that was going to kill me. $8,000. That's a lot of money to spend for appendicitis, you know? So that's when I started to really research. And again, I'm not saying that the health share replaces it. There are many times where I say, no, traditional health insurance is your way to go. Yeah. And there are great plans out there. Unfortunately for me, I was having a really, really hard time. And once introduced to this health share model, as I said, it's a different approach to managing your medical needs. And it's fair medical pricing. So I know what an MRI really does cost. And that's what I'm going to pay. I'm not paying what it would cost with insurance in the hospital. Because if you think about that, like, an MRI is thousands of dollars. I paid $300 to have an MRI done on my elbow.
Total. Wow. Total. Wow. So there's a couple of
more questions.
Yeah, a couple more tactical questions. So, and we're going to direct people. Melissa, before I forget, I've been putting up the Instagram, the IndyPop, which is great. What's the, remind us, the audience, what the website is, so that people can join. And I'm going to put it right in the chat.
Yeah. IndyPop, INDIPOP.co, IndyPop.co. And I don't think we've ever talked about what it stands for, but it's independent population. So it's all the folks who are not getting their health care from a company and they're independent. They're out on their own.
Independent population. I love that. Mm-hmm. There's another question. We talked about the average cost for individuals. What about, I'm a business with one employee?
Mm-hmm. So if you want to contribute to that employee and let them pick the plan that they like, they might want the $275 plan with the HSA and the preventative care, or they might want to go on the plan that I'm on, which is $319, and you can do a reimbursement model, or you can form a company and then you're responsible for one of the plans for contributing $125
to that. We are a little
pocket. Vision and dental, mental health, 12 I get 12 chiropractic visits, which is great. So there's some perks in there. But what I really do, I've had a great experience with the concierge team because I felt like they were really listening, and they really cared, and it was almost like a second opinion for me, especially when I went through my wellness exam this year.
And sorry, there's more questions, so I'm just going to keep firing them away. If I'm the only employee of the company, right? So yeah, you're a solopreneur, you have a company, of course you're eligible.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, here's another scenario. Let's say your spouse gets healthcare from their company, but when they add you on, or if you're having a baby, all of a sudden it goes up. Your spouse can stay on the W-2, the healthcare company's plan, and the other spouse or the child can come onto a health share. So there's mixing and matching too, which is great. You don't have to. There's options out there. Yeah.
And for people that are asking tons of questions, the recommendation is to go on your website, right? indiepop.co, and then set up a consultation. Is that how it works, Melissa?
Yeah, you can set up, you can schedule a one-on-one with me. Hello at Indiepop. You can go there. And I encourage you to go to the C plans page, because that's where all the plans are, and you can actually pull up what the monthly would be, what's included. And I tried to do, I was very transparent, what to consider. So I get 3 top questions. How does this handle for cancer? What about, can I see my own doctors? And what about pre-existing conditions? And it's all in there. So some plans, you have managing your type 2 diabetes or your cholesterol, high blood pressure, and it might not be considered pre-existing. So I encourage you to contact me and let's walk through it, because I'm in contact with all the health shares, and we can actually see, is this something that would be considered a pre-existing condition? And by the way, it's not ruling out. There's nothing that says you can't come onto the health share, but for the first year, if it is deemed pre-existing, the medical need won't be shared with the community. So that's why I'm very, very cautious, because I do not want anyone to be in a situation where something is not shared with the community and they're responsible for a huge medical bill. That would be the nightmare. So we have to be very careful. But it's up to you. It's up to that person. I can't make people do, or not make people do, I should say.
Right.
They're free. Everyone's free, I think, still.
It's remarkable what you saw this need as yourself, right? And said, I'm actually gonna go build this. But this is a massive undertaking, Melissa. This is not a small market, number one. This is dealing with healthcare companies, which are traditionally nightmares. No offense to anybody that works for healthcare. And you launched it in March when the pandemic hit. So
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about, how you've made it through, right? And that has been quite a journey, and you've been part of the community sort of every day since then, and we love that. How have you kind of, adapted and made your way through? But then also, as you're making your way through, what's the mission of the company? Like, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Well, it's simple and affordable healthcare plans for the self-employed. So regardless, if you're not getting your healthcare from a company and you're looking for an alternative, and the goal is to keep providing resources to help this population sustain. So I just did a Facebook Live with one of my other strategic partners. And by the way, Luminary is a great strategic partner, and I'm very proud and happy that I met you guys last year. You've really changed my life, not only personally, but professionally. And so it's touched me. But yeah, we did it with Melanie Gorman of Your Tango to teach or to talk about tips about writing, because she calls it the new modern day elevator pitch. And when you're self-employed, you have to be able to communicate and write. So the resources are there, the partners are there, the perks are there when you go to the page. So it's just going to continue to grow. I'm going to add one more plan that that hopefully it's going to go through next month, and it's going to be customizable. So it's kind of like that a la carte where I don't need mental health or I don't need prescription services. Why am I paying for it? Well, I've got something for you. So under $300 a month. So I always have my eyes open and researching, and trying to always keep in mind who my audience is at all times. And that's how I base my decisions on it. As long as I'm really connected to who I'm serving, that's how I make my decisions.
I say this often, right? To a novel idea, listening to your customers, right? Listening to what your customers want. That's actually why we're all in business. That's why you're there. You're there to provide a service and a product and fill a need, right? That's any business. So, but I hear from so many, I watch so many other companies that just don't even care about their customer. And so when we recognize that, and you have a brand with purpose and impact, and we've been talking about this a lot this week. We had a session yesterday with the Gap around water and sustainability and Earth Day, or with Unilever and Dove, and around brands with purpose and impact. You're building a company with purpose and impact while also serving a need. But you, as the owner, the founder, the entrepreneur, it has not been easy. It's never easy building a company. I know that. And both of us know what the stability was in our lives prior and what you lose with this. But you've had to navigate a really hard time, like all of us, no matter what you've done. How have you, as the owner, the founder, kept yourself focused on moving forward versus getting sucked into, should I keep doing this? Let me just throw in the towel. It's too hard. It's the pandemic.
I've never wanted to throw in the towel. And that's because it's a pain point that I went through. So I know how much it's not fun to research and keep coming up with expensive options. And I knew how important it was, and I have a great support system. So I would say anyone that wants to launch a new endeavor, you need a good support system, and you need good sounding boards and people that will tell you the truth. I have a really great person. So what my struggle is that people come to me with these really great opportunities that I want to put onto indie pop, or I want to go in another direction that I'm like, well, it's another vertical, and they're like, Melissa, and I'm like, but I really want to help this population. I really, and they're like, you got to stick to this. Just focus on this part for right now, and then in a few years. And with me, it's really hard. I'll admit I am not a patient person. I try. I know it's a virtue. I try, but I'm also. I think it's that I was born in Brooklyn, and it's just ingrained in me. It's just like, do it. It's just like, just do it. Just get out there and just do it. And so I have to. I'm really, really thankful that I have these advisors that I can turn to and run by different opportunities. So yeah, but no, throwing in the towel is not an option. I'm Rocky. It's just I just keep fighting. I just keep showing up.
Exactly. Yeah, I think there's so much of, and this is not against men, and we welcome men, we love men, and we're an inclusive. Luminary as a mission is not exclusive, but I think there's something about women, particularly right now, sort of banding together, a collective, tapping into the support system, tapping into that. How do we help each other? And you've done that, I think, masterfully through this year. We've been able to, as a company and as a partner, and certainly as a friend, watch you do that. And raise your hand when you needed help, but also just keep moving forward. I like to say the only failure for me is giving up. And you can pivot, you can adapt, but you've just got to keep going, because you have a great business. It's just keep building on it, right? You're filling a gap. There is a market, and you know that. And Nicola, who was on before you, said, the reason I'm never going to give up is because I know I'm right.
You have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in what you're doing, and then you have to believe in your product. there is no giving up. This is my life. This is my passion. And I'm helping people. And they actually keep me going. When I hear a family that says, Melissa, I just saved $700. That's over $7,000 for the year. That makes a big difference, especially when you're leaving a 9-to-5 job and going out to be a content writer or a graphic artist, to have that, that a little bit of money back in your pocket, but to be able to take a deep breath and go, okay, I'm going to be okay if I break my leg. This is how much it's going to cost me. Or God forbid you get a dreadful disease. I'm not going to be doing it on my own. I'm not going to go bankrupt. So
there's so much peace of mind
going,
right?
Mm-hmm. It's peace of mind. Yeah.
Peace of mind is huge. And especially as you get older, no one's invincible, right? You never know what can happen. Obviously we saw this past year. No one knew what would happen. I'm cognizant of time. So I put in the chat. So Melissa, we can find on the web, indiepop.co. On Instagram, it's at the Indie Pop, so put that up there. And then Melissa, if is the best sort of route if they've got questions, just to send that email hello@indiepop.co. And that will be
also. Yep, you can find me on LinkedIn. And hello@indiepop is pretty much the best way. And I am doing some really fun webinars coming up in May. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. So my first webinar is going to be with MPB Health, always do that. And we're going to be talking about our Life Care program, which is a really, really robust program to help in all areas of your life. And then later in the month, we're going to be talking to Financial Jim. And because how many times has your finances given you stress, causing you mental health, so we're going to be talking to Financial Jim. So please, check back on the website for the webinar dates. We're trying to do more Facebook Live because we understand people's schedules are really hard sometimes to sit down in front of a Zoom or be committed to this time block. So it's probably going to be live as well.
They can find the webinars also on your website.
Yeah, on the website. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Melissa, so excited that we were able to get this together. Our schedules didn't work for so long, but now they're working. We're proud to support Indie Pop. We love what you're doing. We love what you're building. I would recommend everyone. We've done webinars with Melissa and Indie Pop here at Luminary, but participate, join one of these webinars or Facebook Lives because your health is the most important thing. We've learned that. If you didn't know it a year ago, you know it now. And you are really a trailblazer in what you're doing, Melissa.
Thank you very much, Cate. Always a pleasure. You're one of my favorite people. And I'm just so blessed that last year we were on the same webinar together and I got introduced to you. So I love the Luminary community and I'm really excited, hopefully, to come in person one day.
Yes. And for those watching from the New York area, and Melissa, you'll have to join, you'll have to come and see it when you come out. The Glass Ceiling, our rooftop lounge, is opening next Friday, April 30th, finally. And I would say it's all COVID protected, all the great stuff that even the Luminary space is. So if you happen to be in town, April 30th, and it is a restaurant and bar on the top of the Luminary space. So Melissa, we cannot wait to meet you in person.
I know, I'm excited.
And just want to say thank you again for being on Goaldigger today. Everyone, have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, right? And please continue, no matter where you're at, to wear a mask. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And look forward, Melissa, to watching Indie Pop grow. So thanks again, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Weekend. Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.